what's the advantage then for the software? We've been talking about some of the disadvantages, but what's the advantage of the software?
So the big advantages of the software is that you can change, if you want to call it, almost anything inside the ECU. So what we used to do with Golf 5, since we're mentioning them, it's a well-known car.
Because that's when there was an advanced, big jump from 4 to 5. And there was a lot of issues back then, I remember.
100%.
And that's where the tuners sort of a lot of them made their names on the Golf 5.
Yeah, it's true, and they all went software. The problem is that the airflow meter has a maximum amount of air it can flow, and then it hits a ceiling. It runs out. You can't rescale it. You can't. So you've got all these limiters that are in the way. Rev limiters were a problem back then as well. So you hit all these limiters with a Unichip. Now we've got to work around these limiters. So with a Unichip we've got something called an iDriver now, so we can run the injectors on the outside. The ECU doesn't know about them. So there's a huge amount of things but back then they weren't available. Again, so the one car we used to struggle with big time was like an Opel, the first OPC.
OPCs, yes.
Now they've got a boost limiter in the airflow meter. So they say you may not flow more than this amount of grams per second of air.
And then it would early limit, it would pop, it wouldn't rev all the way through. I remember that.
So we can clamp those the airflow meter. So we say, okay, well at that RPM, don't go over 3.3 volts. But then how do we get extra fuel out the car? So you're like, okay, then they made something back then called an overdriver for the injector, so we could add fuel. But otherwise, you'd have to put bigger injectors and this and that. With the software, you upload the file, and you open it up into a map pack, and it says boost limit at RPM, and you just highlight and add 10%, another boost limit is up.